All right, welcome. So, in the original Super Mario Brothers, you could go down this tube and you would enter into a bonus level. And while I just implemented some ducking, I didn't implement yet entering into the bonus level. And so I was about to do that now, and I thought, why not make a video and let you guys come along for a ride? So, to get started, I'm just going to duplicate what I was doing before, which is I've got this large method here called load level 1 that loads all of the entities that are necessary in the first level, at least all the ones I've placed so far. This is the style I'm going to continue doing, but I will take this point to say that if I were going to end up building more than just a handful of levels, this starts to get a little bit tedious. And so usually what you're going to do instead is build a single method that can load all the levels or any level based usually on some argument that you give it. And those levels will be loaded from some other kind of data source, possibly a database, but my instinct, at least for these sort of simpler JavaScript games, would be to use a JSON file, which is just going to be a JavaScript object notation file that will have effectively a whole object stored in it, only the data parts of the object, and then we will have a quick function that will just extract all that data. And what I mean by that is it will maybe have a list of the hills, for instance, and in the hills it will have the relevant important information for them, for instance their x and their y coordinate, and maybe that's it. And that would be enough for us to build this hill programmatically with a function, and we'll just read out from that list of hills, and we'll build every single hill, and then we'll build every single bush, and so on, and we'll add them to the world that way. But for the moment, I'm not going to refactor all my code the way it is right now. I am, however, going to try and duplicate this code here. And I'm going to call this load bonus level 1. And I'm going to delete out everything that I have in here except for Mario for the moment. But I am going to say one thing here is that this line here and the same line above here, my load level 1, adds a new Mario in. And this depends a little bit on how you're going to run your character. The way I've got things handled right now, my scene manager, that's the object we're in right now, it keeps track of some of Mario's properties, like his score, coins, and lives. The only reason why I've done that so far is because the scene manager is the one that displays these values, and so it's easier in terms of accessing that data to leave them here. However, it's probably better for me to refactor this out and place them inside Mario, because there's a number of things inside Mario that are important. For instance, his size, that we might want to carry over as Mario goes into, say, different levels like the bonus level. So for instance, right now I have Mario who is large or big, and I want to have Mario, when he enters the bonus level, still be large or big. So out of all of the entities that I'm going to do, now my goal here in the scene manager, when I move, when Mario's going to enter into the bonus level, I'm going to first call this clear entities function, which will delete all the entities out of the game engine. And then I will call my new method, load bonus level 1, which should load all the new entities in. The only thing I want to do here is I want to maintain that when I clear out all the entities, I maintain Mario. I don't want Mario to be cleared out, or if Mario is cleared out, that's probably more likely what I want to do, is Mario will be cleared out, but then I want to add the same Mario back in, not a new one. Now, in order to do this, I don't actually have to keep track of Mario, because Mario, like the scene manager itself, adds a reference to himself into the game engine object. Just like we've done with the scene manager, we called it camera so we could do the scrolling with the scene manager. So this just gives us an easy access. So what that means is I'm just going to slightly refactor things. Mario originally gets created here, but I'm going to copy that or cut that out and add it here. You'll notice here I'm adding it as this.Mario, so this will be maintained as a local variable inside the SceneManager, and that's going to allow us to use that Mario again. So now this line that I've left in the load level 1 will still add Mario into the game. We didn't add him above, we just newed him above, we just created him above, and it adds him last. Remember, the goal in adding him last was so that he gets drawn last and therefore is on top of any of the other decorative elements in the level. So that was just a quick refactor, and I just want to test the refactor, make sure we haven't ruined anything. So I'll do a quick reload. Looks like Mario is still working fine, so we can move on with our additional changes. So now what I'm actually going to do is I want to switch it up. Normally, when I'm going to test something new like this, I'm just going to hard code it in. I'm going to start on the bonus level. That way I can test, make sure everything's working on the bonus level, and then when I have the bonus level working properly, I can set up the code that will allow me to enter the bonus level when I enter that tube. All right, I added the first bricks and the ground. I didn't add all of it yet, but I'm just trying to test to see if I've got them in the right place. Looks like I have, except that it also looks like I've made a bunch of question blocks when I needed actual bricks. We've got bricks over there now. Now, you'll notice, of course, the bonus level has a different palette, but I haven't actually done the palette swap on my bricks yet. Let me turn the debug off so we can see them a little better. They have this sort of top layer on them, and in the underground, most of the bricks don't have the top layer on them. So I'm going to, again, in swapping the palette out, but for now, I just want to make sure that functionally I can build the bonus level the way I want it. Here's the map that I'm using to build it off of. It looks like we now have 3 bricks of empty space, and then we have, it looks like a 3 brick tall brick that is, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So let's try and build that one next. Okay, so I've added the 7, that should be the top level here. Let's take a look. So I've got the top 7 in there, and now I should be able to just cut and paste those. All right, so now we've got those bricks in there as well. Now I need to get the coins in there, and unfortunately I haven't actually animated the coins yet. I have this little coin class that I'm going to use to copy. It's my coin pop class. It's the coin that will pop out of a question box. But in the bonus level, we just have coins straight up just sitting there. So that's what this class will be for. So I've made a pretty bare bones coin here. Cut out all my update. It doesn't have to do anything. It's still got one animation, so it flickers. The animation was very close by the other coin animation, so hopefully I predicted that right. Let's go and test it. Alright, and it looks like we got ourselves a twinkling coin there. Two things I'm not too happy about with this. I got a little black line on the above there, and I can fix that by going and fixing my sprite sheet. But it also seems like it's maybe sunk just a little bit into the brick there. These are kind of the nitpicky things you just want to make sure you get right. So I'm going to go and change this to 96.5. Now this is the kind of thing you can do in JavaScript. You don't actually have to have it on the pixel. You maybe can't see that exactly. I just changed the coordinate by half of a pixel. Let's see if that might make the change I'm hoping for. Maybe I got it in the wrong direction. And so when I turn off the debug now, I don't get the little black leftover line from the frame above in the sprite sheet, and I also get at least a little sliver of blue between the brick and the coin, and that's normally how they are. I could reposition it a little bit better than that. Okay, I actually changed it to straight 97 now, and actually that looks even better. So I'm going to leave it at that, and now I can position my other coins. So we got the first 7. Okay, they look like they came in right. And the last row actually only has 5, so let's delete the first one. And the last one. There we go. Now, what else do I want to do? Well, I can't pick up coins yet. So let's try and pick up these coins. These are new coins. Now, in some games, I might want to put the coin collision logic in here. But as I sort of mentioned in my other collision handling video, that I'm going to try and put as much of the collision handling that that is associated with Mario in Mario, so that I don't sort of forget where I've put things. Is this in the coin? Is this in the Mario? Even though this one technically kind of belongs partially to Mario, partially to the coin, I'm going to put all the logic in Mario. And to do this, I'm going to just copy my collision code that I have for what happens if he collides with a mushroom. And I'm going to change that to what happens if he collides with a coin. I will do the same thing I do with a mushroom. First, I will remove that from the game. I will remove the coin from the game. But I don't do any of the other logic I would do for a mushroom. Instead, I just want to increase the coins or add coins to the game engine, whatever's keeping track of the coins. Now I've got the SceneManager keeping track of the coins, and I made this little add coin logic here, because if you ever get to 100 coins, you go back to 0 and then you up your lives. So instead of just plussing my coins up here, I'm going to call add coin. This.game.camera.add coin. Okay, and of course I test, but nothing happens. And that's because we actually forgot, as you can kind of actually see here, the green around the coin here means this is an animation, but there's no red around it. And the red means it's not going to collide with anything. Or the red is the collision box. So we need to set up a bounding box for our coins as well. So I'm going to go to my mushroom, and I'm going to go and copy his bounding box line. We don't need an update bounding box actual function, because these coins don't move. And I guess if there were some moving coins in Super Mario Brothers, I believe in the original Super Mario Brothers, none of the coins actually move. And so we can just leave it as this. And that actually led me to a crash, an error. I got to this line, and it said, this doesn't have a game. And this could be confusing for some of us unless we notice that I've been using that all around here. That. I probably mean that here. So this is a case where I needed the that. And now it looks like I'm getting coins, and if I'm looking up above, I'm gathering the coins too. Okay, well, now oh, and look, I got to the level 1 and I still have my coins. So it looks like at least that part is working. Now, what I need to do next is put the little tube in. So there's no tube on the right hand side, and again, as you might anticipate, I haven't created the tube asset yet, so I'm going to have to make that now. So in order to create the side tube, I've just actually copied my old tube code and modified it ever so slightly to make this side tube code, which basically functions the same way as a normal tube. And it looks like we've got our tube working well here, and it looks like, yeah, I can sort of run into it, and I'll have to now take care of the actual scene transitions. How do I move from the main level to this level, and then when I'm done here, back to the main level. So to handle the scene transitions, I've had to do a little bit of a refactor. One thing I've done is I've changed my load level 1 to have XY coordinates as an argument. This is where we would want Mario to start on the level. Now we can start Mario on the level in different locations. For instance, when he exits the tube. This will also be useful if I wanted to implement the halfway marker that is common in Mario levels as well. After you pass the halfway marker, if you die, you start halfway instead of at the beginning. And so that refactor comes into play here at the bottom. When we add our Mario in, I'm going to add the Mario into the XY coordinate that has been passed in. The only logic here is in case Mario is large, I'll make him appear 1 block higher. In the other load, the bonus level, I've just got the standard logic. The bonus level Mario only ever appears at 1 location, and so I have that built right in down here. The transition itself is going to be handled when we have the particular interaction between Mario and his environment, specifically when he reaches that tube and he presses the appropriate key. So I've actually just added a line or two of logic to my collision logic here, this was my falling logic. Now, I'll tell you why I added it to the falling or landing logic here. I need to remind you that in my simulation of Mario, Goomba, the Koopas are always falling. They are always being pulled down by gravity. But if there happens to be a platform beneath them, then they will land on that platform. Or another way of thinking of that is if they're walking on the platform, they will always be sort of just falling into the platform, and the platform will always be pushing them back out so that they're walking right on top of that platform. So I'm going to add into this logic that's always going to be pushing Mario off of the ground to see, well, if I happen to be in a tube and that tube happens to have a destination. At the moment, this is just a Boolean for me. I'm going to have to refactor this later if there are different tubes that go to different areas, or if I end up implementing multiple levels. But at the moment, since I only have one level, I left this as a Boolean. And then, so if it's the tube that has the destination and the user is pressing the down key, then I will go ahead and load the new level. Now I've just gone ahead and called this load bonus level 1, and I'm going to call it directly. This is the Mario object triggering the reloading of the level in the camera object or the SceneManager object. And I think this is probably the proper way to do it because it is this collision that is supposed to trigger the transition. And so this is probably the right way to do it. Mario detects the trigger, that's what we're doing in Mario, but then he calls the function or method in the SceneManager to carry out the appropriate action. Another thing that I've had to refactor is I used to have a clear entities subroutine that I used as a little helper subroutine to try and clear out the entities, but in the past I had it load in the SceneManager as well. I've refactored so I don't need to load the SceneManager, and all the SceneManager is now treated in my game engine as a privileged entity, and so I've just got rid of that function altogether, and I've just added this line at the beginning of my load bonus level 1 and also load level 1, which is just to clear out all the original entities in our game. And just like we did on this line here to load bonus level 1, when I'm in the bonus level, I might end up running into one of these side tubes. So again, because my level that I've implemented right now only has one tube that goes to the bonus level and one side tube that exits the bonus level, I haven't had to implement anything more than this simple sort of hard coding it in. If I get to a point where I have extra levels, I'm going to have to think of how I'm going to organize my levels. But really what that probably means is I'm going to be building into my tubes. This is the side tube and my tube. Right now I have that destination property, which again I'm just treating as a Boolean. I'm going to turn that into some kind of small object that's going to have the information necessary. What level should be loaded and where should Mario be when I load that level. So in this case, I'm just loading Mario again at his new coordinates. That's the exit tube. And then let's just go ahead and see if we can verify that this works. All right, so here's Mario. Actually, just to double check, because I wanted to make sure Mario could preserve his state while he transfers through. So I will make sure that he's big. And again, I will just move over here to, this is our tube that should transform us. And sure enough, we make it to the next level. I can gather my coins, and then I can exit here as well. Looks like it's working all right. And there we are. All right, so this was sort of an active exploration of how I was going to implement doing the scene transitions. It looks like we've got there with just a little bit of hard coding, a little bit of refactoring, and of course a little bit of refactoring necessary maybe in the future to overcome that hard coding. But hopefully this helps you do your own scene transitions in your own games. So thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you in that next video.